Well, guys, it finally happened. The June 2020 DMEs have a new updated unlock solution, and this new unlock solution is finally the new unlock solution is available in the US. All right, guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and yes, we have a new unlock solution coming from Kies Motorsports. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the announcements by now, but this is a really big deal for everybody that was waiting for an unlock solution to come to the United States. So you no longer have to send your DME out. You can get it done in the US and get it done relatively quickly. Now, I think a lot of people still have a lot of questions, like what exactly is happening? How is this being done? How did they figure it out? Especially being Kies Motorsports isn't like huge on the software side of things, or you might not think of them in particular as a tuner with that kind of capability. So there are a lot of questions about what's going on. And the good news is Kies is a supporter of the channel. I bought some parts from them and stuff like that in the past. So they agreed to do an interview with me and kind of talk through some of those details and answer some of your more common questions. So we're going to go through that, explain exactly how it works, who this applies to, and of course the elephant in the room, we'll talk about the cost. And yeah, I think we'll try to at least get all of this information for those of you that are considering going this route. So let's go ahead and talk about it, and hopefully you guys find this video useful.
Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future.
So by now, if you've been watching my videos, you should know that I put timestamps on all of these videos so you can kind of navigate to whatever interests you the most. So feel free to skip forward for those of you that don't need this background information. But every time I post a video, somebody in the comments is going to say their 2035 M129i can't be tuned. Does this work or whatever? So I'm going to just make sure we all have the same baseline information, and then we'll talk about the details of this new DME unlock. So we've got two main kinds of unlock solutions that we use on our cars. The first one is the OBD unlock, where you can plug into the OBD port and unlock it that way. Or there is the bench unlock method, and there are a lot of different ways to do this. Some tuners will do it locally in their shops. We also have the MHD unlocker tool, which can bench unlock your DME at home. So depending on the date that your DME was made and what generation of vehicle you have, you can either OBD unlock or bench unlock your car. But unfortunately, what happened is around June of 2020, we started noticing that cars weren't able to be bench unlocked either. So there was no way to tune these cars until a couple years ago when a company called Femto came into the picture. And what they are able to do is unlock DMEs after the June 2020 cutoff with the updated encryption. So these new DMEs are called DME8, and Bosch put updated encryption on these DMEs to protect, all of the intellectual property that BMW put on them with how the tunes work and stuff like that. And so we weren't able to unlock them with bench unlock methods or OBD unlock methods. Femto was the only company that could do it. And a lot of people didn't like that because, especially if you're in the US, you have to ship your DME overseas. It's very expensive. It takes a lot more time. And also, just from an insurance standpoint, it's kind of nerve-wracking. You don't want it to get lost or damaged because it's a very expensive component that your vehicle requires in order for the engine to run. So that was always something that people were a little bit nervous about, but it seems like over time, it became a much more normalized thing. But a lot of people have still been waiting for an unlock solution to come to the US, and it is finally here. So again, Kies Motorsports, located in New Jersey, has an unlock solution where you can literally ship them your DME, regular priority mail, get it to them in 2 to 3 days, get your DME unlocked, and it will come back to you. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the main questions you guys had. So the first and probably most important question is, what platforms does this even apply to? And so primarily this is for the Gen 2 B58 and S58 cars that have all had to send their DMEs out to Femto. It also works for Gen 2 B46 and B48. And it should work for B58s, basically anybody after that June 2020 cutoff. So I know we've got some late model 440i's and M240i's that were F-Series vehicles that still got the new DME update because they just built them for so much longer than the other cars. and those cars should be able to get unlocked as well. And out of nowhere, it works for the N63 and S63. So again, a lot of those cars that are dealing with tuning issues or difficulty tuning your cars, even on later model vehicles like M5s and stuff like that, you'll be able to now tune your vehicle with an unlock solution that is in the United States. Now, what it doesn't work for is the Gen 3 B58 and the S68. So basically the newest revision of the 6-cylinder and V8 models that have been coming out the past couple years are not able to be tuned yet. As we've talked about previously, those come with an even newer DME with even newer encryption. So that will be its own challenge to get past that hurdle. So only Gen 2 vehicles for the B48, B58, as well as the S58 can be unlocked with this method. Now, the way that it works is not the same as what some people think. A lot of people are saying, oh, they're just still shipping it to FEM2. That's not the case. Some people are saying, oh, they just got a license from FEM2 to use their hardware and do the unlock stateside. That is not the case either. If you actually reach out to a lot of different tuners, you'll find out a lot of people tried to go that route, but it just didn't work for various reasons. So that's why FEM2 was really the only option for all of these years. You'll also find out that auto tuner is not the method that they're using. So we talked about that a couple weeks ago, where you open up the DME and you're able to modify it that way. This does not require opening your DME. In fact, if your DME has been opened or modified in any way, they are not going to take the liability and do their unlock on your DME. So if there's any signs that it's been tampered with, this is not going to be for you. Now, what they did share is that it is very similar to the FEM2 unlock solution. So they have their own hardware, their own process that they're using to unlock the DMEs, basically as a bench unlock, but using their own proprietary solution. And then they're able to get the DME back to you. So again, they're not using like any third party that we've talked about or anything like that. This is something that they're doing in-house to unlock the DMEs. Now, unfortunately, it can't be done through the OBD port, so it's not something that we will see used anytime soon through like MHD or boot mode or something like that. You can't just plug it in and link to your phone and unlock it that way. It is something where they need the actual DME in order to unlock it. Now that kind of takes us to our next question. How long does it take, or what can you expect, especially for those of you that are local? And the good news is if you are local, it can literally be done the same day. They've actually been doing these unlocks for the past couple days since the announcement, and they've done same day DME unlocks. The big challenge is, of course, up front, there is a big rush. A lot of people are placing orders and want to do this as quickly as possible. So their ask is, if you submit an order and want to do it online, reach out to them directly and set an appointment so they can kind of, manage the volume of DMEs that are coming in. So what they do is a couple people every day, they bring in your DME, get it unlocked, and then they call you when it's ready. And it literally only takes an hour or two for all of them to be done. Just keep that in mind. If you're there in person, it's something that can be done very quickly. But if you're not in New Jersey like I am, then you can ship your DME to them, and yes, they can still unlock it same day and then ship it back to you. A lot of that, you're still at the mercy of the shipping company. That will kind of determine when they get it, but the cost of the DME unlock includes next day shipping to get it back to you as quickly as possible. So at least from that standpoint, by the time they get it, you should be able to get it back within 24 to 48 hours. The next question I asked is, what platforms does this work with? Because if you're familiar with the FEM2 unlock solution, there were kind of two different routes you could go down. One was the unlock, and that basically locked you into a specific tuning platform, MHD, boot mode, or whatever. And then there was the other option, which was DME cloning. And that basically set you up with a DME that was just like one that only needed a bench unlock. So you really weren't locked to any platform. You could tune, flash, switch platforms, do whatever you wanted, just like a DME before the June 2020 cutoff. And so I'll say the good news is that their unlock works with all of them. So you can use MHD, you can use boot mode, you can use all of their advanced capabilities. So you can use custom ROM or MHD plus. It even works with the Rev2 board and Reflex. So all of that advanced functionality works with their unlock solution. The only thing they haven't tested yet, or they were still waiting on confirmation, is EcuTech and MG Flasher. And a lot of that is more so, not saying that it doesn't work, but they haven't tested it. So just keep an eye on their social media channels and stuff. I'm sure they'll give an update when they go through their testing to verify there are no issues with those tuning platforms. So now at this point, say you've gotten your unlock, you've picked your platform and gotten everything tuned. The next big concern is, can it be relocked? Is there something that you should be worried about? And yes, it can be relocked if you get like a software update at the dealership or a remote update to your DME that will relock the DME and require it being unlocked again. So just keep in mind, same as what you would do with FEM2, you want to disable all automatic updates. Don't get any updates at the dealer, or if you do, if there's a recall or whatever that you want to take advantage of, just be aware you'll have to get it re-unlocked as well. Also, if you're switching platforms, technically you're supposed to relock the DME and flash it back to stock before switching platforms. So that will relock the DME, and then you will need to do the Kies Unlock again in order to switch platforms. So depending on the change, that's something that you would need to be aware of. And of course, again, going to the dealer, if they flash it back to stock, that will relock it. The last thing is if there's a big update. So for example, BM3 went from custom ROM to custom ROM V2. If you do a big update like that, it will likely also need to be re-unlocked. So again, this just depends on the tuning platform and how they implement their custom code. For most smaller updates where they just do, minor revisions and stuff, you won't need a relock. But if there is a significant change to basically the structure or the strategy of how they're making their tuning platform work, yes, you will need to get it re-unlocked in order to take advantage of that. Now, the good news is they're planning on implementing basically savings associated with unlocking it again. So if you've already been a customer, you will get a discount on getting it unlocked after a software update or whatever you're going through to get the latest features from your tuning platform. Whatever that circumstance may be, they will be able to extend a discount to you for those services. So that will at least reduce the blow, but yes, you're still going to have to go through the process. And with that in mind, that brings us to probably the elephant in the room. Why does it cost so much? And again, I'm not a tuner. I've never done this myself, so I can't speak to it from personal experience. But their main feedback is just that the investment was much larger than what a lot of people think, and the process is still pretty expensive with the equipment that they're using. So for one, they did a lot of testing on their personal vehicles. That meant locking DMEs and unlocking DMEs over and over again and figuring out what worked, what didn't work. And it made me think about when the B58 was originally unlocked and people were talking about finding solutions and the stuff that they went through, bricking DMEs, burning DMEs, burning up wiring, having to fix your car for various issues. And you can imagine DMEs aren't cheap if you're going through them and doing a lot of locking and re-unlocking, using different companies to help support your development work. That's going to be an expensive process. And now the tool that they're using still requires some investment in order to execute the process. So there's just a cost associated with it. So that's a big part of it. One is to recoup the cost of their investment and also just to fund what the actual process entails. They do hope to be able to drop the price in the future. Time will tell, but it's really just based on the current state of things. And people seem to be latching onto it pretty good. I mean, they are getting business. A lot of people are reaching out to them. And I think for those of you that were considering FEM2, but you just absolutely said, I am not going to ship my DME out, I'm only waiting for a solution in the US, this basically answers your question. And I think that is what Kies is really trying to address. They've got a lot of different products they make, a lot of different services that they offer, and they are listening to the community, trying to create a solution for people that are having a problem. And now we have another option. They're not the only option. They're not the cheapest option, but they are another option. So it's really just up to you to kind of decide if it's worth it or not. But for them, this is what makes financial sense based on the investment that they already put in. Now, they did also try to help and make it a little cheaper. If you are bundling a tuning solution with them, you can buy your BM3 license and get that baked in with your unlock and get that at a discounted rate. So that's something that they're able to offer. And not only will you get an unlocked DME back, but you can get tuning software that enables you to connect to your phone and flash it in your driveway. So again, a nice little bump in case that's already the route you're going down, because obviously if you're unlocking your DME, you probably want to tune it as well. Now, I did kind of have some side questions with this, because if this solution is working and based on the cost and everything, is there any advantage to the other options, primarily cloning? And it seems like the main issue with cloning is the cost. But the main advantage is it makes it like your car was never after the June 2020 cutoff to begin with. And that's really the big gap I see here is no matter what, if your DME gets relocked, you have to send it back. There's just always going to be that kind of situation in the background that if it ever gets relocked for any reason, you have to send it back out to get it unlocked. If there's a significant change to how the tuning software is implemented or the strategy, again, you have to send it back out to get unlocked. So cloning still seems like kind of the closest that we'll get to a full unlock where you never have to send your DME out again and you can take advantage of any and every update that comes from the dealer or from your tuning software. But this is a nice option at least to get similar capability to what we got from Fem2 without having to send your DME overseas. So yeah, I think this pretty much covers everything that people have been asking. Again, more will be coming soon. I think this is going to be constantly developing, but since it's brand new, there's a big rush. So let Kies kind of work through the onslaught of people sending DMEs to them. And then over time, as it stabilizes, we'll see if there are any other updates. We're still hoping to see the Gen 3 B58s get unlocked, the S58s get unlocked, maybe other solutions that don't potentially put a risk of relocking your DME. And now that we know that Kies has the capability and the tools to do it, I think they're just another front runner that can hopefully help us get that done. So stay tuned, more coming soon. As always, I'll share with you whatever information I get, and hopefully this answers the question you had. Yeah, I think that's it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.